In the quiet depths of rural America, where the roads are long and the neighbors scarce, a simple delivery can become a journey into the unknown. This is the story of one such delivery, a night that turned a routine pizza run into a chilling encounter.
It was a Friday evening, the kind where the darkness settles early and the moon hides behind thick clouds. I was the closing driver for Tony's Pizzeria, a small joint that served the local townsfolk and the occasional outlying farms. Business had been slow, and I was looking forward to the end of my shift when the phone rang. Tony, the owner, waved me over.
Got one last delivery for you, kid. It's a bit out there, but they promised a good tip.
He handed me the slip with the address Old Mill Road, farmhouse at the end. I knew the area vaguely. It was a secluded stretch, seldom traveled. I loaded the pizza into the car and set off. The town streetlights soon faded in my rearview mirror as I ventured onto the winding country roads. Tall trees lined the path, their bare branches reaching out like skeletal hands. The further I drove, the more oppressive the darkness became. After what felt like an eternity, I spotted a narrow dirt driveway marked by a dilapidated mailbox barely visible in the headlights. The name Henderson was etched into the rusted metal. Turning in, the gravel crunched loudly beneath my tires, echoing in the stillness. The driveway was long, flanked by dense woods on either side. Shadows danced in the periphery of my vision, and an uneasy feeling settled in my gut. Finally, the house emerged. A two-story farmhouse that had clearly seen better days. The paint was peeling, windows boarded up, and the only light was a dim glow from an upstairs window. I approached the front door, pizza in hand, and knocked. The sound seemed to vanish into the void with no response. I knocked again, harder this time, and waited. Just as I was about to turn back, a voice, raspy and aged, called out from the side of the house.
Around back. Come around back.
I hesitated, every instinct telling me to leave, but the promise of a generous tip and the desire to finish my shift pushed me forward. I walked cautiously to the rear of the house. There, standing by a partially open cellar door, was an elderly man. His face was gaunt, eyes sunken, and clothes tattered.
Come on down. The money's in the basement.
A chill ran down my spine. I'm sorry, sir, but I can't enter your home. If you could come up, we can complete the transaction here, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady.
No need to be afraid. Come down, it's just down here.
He gestured into the darkness of the cellar. I took a step back, my heart racing. Sir, I really can't. My words were cut off by a sound behind me. I turned to see figures emerging from the woods, their silhouettes barely discernible. Panic surged. I dropped the pizza and bolted towards my car. The figures gave chase, their footsteps pounding behind me. I reached my car, fumbling with the keys, and finally managed to unlock the door. Jumping in, I slammed the door shut and started the engine. I sped down the driveway, not daring to look back. The narrow path seemed endless, but eventually I reached the main road. I drove straight back to the pizzeria, hands trembling on the wheel. Bursting into the restaurant, I told Tony everything. He listened, his expression growing more concerned.
Old Mill Road, you said?
He pulled out an old map and traced his finger along it.
That farmhouse was abandoned years ago. The Hendersons moved away after a fire gutted the place. No one's lived there since.
A cold realization settled over me. Who or what had I encountered that night? The generous tip suddenly seemed insignificant compared to the price I might have paid.
Sometimes the most innocuous tasks can lead us into the depths of our deepest fears. For this delivery driver, a routine trip became a haunting memory, a reminder that some doors are best left unopened.